Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. On July 3rd, 1863, one day short of 87 years after the birth of the United States, there was a battle charge that very well would either have saved the nation or severed it forever. That day, in the little town of Gettysburg in Pennsylvania, that had become the most important battlefield of the Civil War, thousands of Confederate soldiers made an epic assault on the Union front at Cemetery Ridge in an attempt to win the Battle of Gettysburg and surround Washington, D.C., likely then upsetting the Union and winning the war. There was never a charge like it up until that point in U.S. history, and there has hardly been one since, a march that became known in history as Pickett's Charge. After 2 days of brutal fighting, the rebels rolled the dice on the third and final day as General Robert E. Lee ordered the division of Major General George E. Pickett to make an all-out assault across a mile-wide field with almost no cover in an attempt to break through the Union line just south of Gettysburg. The assault was massive. Roughly 15,000 rebels marched west to east from Seminary Ridge in the final effort to win the battle. Now, historians have called this the last medieval battle charge in history, and in many ways it was. Soldiers on horseback and on foot rushing into battle to slam the enemy ranks and overpower them in hand-to-hand combat. Union soldiers described the onslaught afterwards as a massive sea of gray coming towards them, and had it not been for the unfortunate occasion of warfare and bloodshed, it would have been a truly inspirational and even beautiful sight otherwise. But the rebels could not break through the Union ranks, and this moment proved to be the closest that the rebels ever got to winning the war. It has since been dubbed the high watermark of the Confederacy. Now, the onslaught of rebels, unprotected from Union bullets with virtually no coverage in this open field, proved to be an almost unfairly easy target for Union sharpshooters and cannons. Hundreds of rebels were picked off before they could even make it to the Union ranks. Now, those that did were repelled by the Federals under the command of General George Meade, and sure enough, the Confederates were dealt a fatal blow from which they could never truly recover. Now, Robert E. Lee was devastated at the defeat and took personal responsibility for the thousands of Southern soldiers killed. Now, General George Pickett also put responsibility on Lee. He never forgave him for the decision to assault the Union line, saying of Lee afterward, "That old man had my division slaughtered." Now, the failure of Pickett's charge ended the Battle of Gettysburg in Union victory, and as it turned out, Gettysburg turned the tide of the war in favor of the Union. The Confederates had lost their chance to take the capital city, and they would never get another chance again. After almost 2 more long years of fighting, with the Union Army now reborn under the command of General U.S. Grant, the South's strength and resolve slipped, and the war ended in 1865 with a Union victory. So on July 4th, 1776, the Union was born, and the argument can be made that on July 3rd, 1863, when Pickett's charge could not break the ranks of the United States Army, the Union was saved. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History.